And welcome to the best thing you watched this week. We got Chris from Movies and Munchies. Hi, Chris. Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. We are here talking about the best thing we watched. Also, in our podcast section, once we're done with the best thing we watched, we're going to do entertainment news. We're going to do things we are looking forward to. So that's all network, like TV series, movies, what's out of the cinema, YouTube channels, whatever we're looking forward to. We're also going to be doing something pretty cool with our Patreon. We don't know what that is yet, but we'll figure out as we go along.
That's like a blatant lie right there. Not that it won't be entertaining, but just that
it will. Once we figure out what we're actually doing.
Be entertaining.
It's been a week. Our brains are a bit frazzled. But thank you so much to everyone that joins us. We've got a really nice community going now, I think, Chris. We have weekly those that come back and just say, hey, this is like my favorite time of the week listening to you guys. I really appreciate that. That really does help kind of spur on the fun that we have here. Yeah. Also, we've got like a dedicated 100 on just the audio, at least 100, just listen to like on Spotify, podcast, wherever you're listening. That is a community, a small crowd of community that's growing. Don't forget, you can chat to us here in the comments or on Twitter or at Best We Watched. And we will get back to you on all of those, comments that you might have. But you guys didn't quite remember that thing that we might have missed. And we often miss things because we go on tangents left, right, and center. That's part of the fun. That's why I think, Chris, I enjoy just talking about something. And then you go, oh, remember, I had a bad toilet experience last week. Talking of which, no, I'm joking. What is your question for us this week?
Maybe this adds to a bad toilet experience. I don't know. But now this is going to be rather specific, but I think you could extrapolate it to just about anything. So have you ever eaten a whole tube of Pringles by yourself?
Oh.
Now, do you even have Pringles over there?
Yeah. Pringles are very popular.
Okay.
My youngest son, Ethan, that is like his favorite crisp. He has to have the plain ones, like the Pringles. If we get Pringles, it'll be plain ones and then normally a tube that we can share. But absolutely, the whole slogan, once you pop, you can't stop. It's really true, because I like the sour cream and chives, and I get like a Wodge, and I'll like have a fizzy drink and then just go, and then I'm like, so dry. And then you gotta get some space in your mouth and try and get like some drink in it so you can swallow and not like cut the roof of your mouth or your gums, because the Pringle's gone straight and gone.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay. So wait, you used a word called Wodge. What is that?
A Wodge? Yeah, like a wedge.
Stack?
Yeah, a stack.
Wedge.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
An amount, a deck of Pringles, 52 card Pringles. Yeah.
I'm learning new words left and right. This is outstanding.
It doesn't mean that they're real English words. Ruben makes up words all the time. Who knows what's in Ruben?
Dude, all words are made up, so come on,
Shakespeare made 600 of them, so,
See, there you go. Oh, okay. So you like the sour cream and chive ones. I love the buffalo ones, except you can never find them. Sometimes in a random gas station someplace, and that's where I'm.
Is that what they're?
No,
buffalo.
Nope. They're straight buffalo, and they've got this spice to them, and they're not like your flamin' hot type of flavor. I mean, it's a proper buffalo sauce flavor, so it has a little bit of a buttery taste to it, but then with a great cayenne pepper kick to it. I mean, I will knock children and grandmas over to go get stacks of these because, just so good, but because I can never find them either. That's the thing.
Buffalo.
Occasionally if we're traveling on a road trip or something, and we're stopping for gas, I'm definitely looking through these random gas stations because that's typically where I find them.
Okay.
So I don't know who does Pringles. I don't know if that's Lay's or whoever. If you're listening or if you have contacts and you know somebody at that place, first off, we would love to be sponsored.
Yes, please. Yep.
We'll totally do that. But two, have them bring back or make widely available the buffalo, please, just for me.
Chris, do you have a P.O. box?
Other people will eat them. No, but I can get one.
Okay.
I would get one.
Get one, and then we'll get someone in America that listens to this to send you some buffalo Pringles. I'm sure that could be arranged. That'll be fun.
Yes.
You can do it as part of your Movies and Munchies, and have some munchies, and we will see if you can eat a whole tube of buffalo Pringles without needing a drink. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That, my mouth might get a little dry. If I don't have to speak, that'll probably be okay. If I have to talk, though, that I think we're getting into that. Do you ever take them and make the duck bills? Sorry, I put my mouth in front of the mic, or my hands in front of the microwave. You know, where you have, because they're curved, you know, so you put one up and one down, and you go, looks like
no, I've never done that. But that's a thing I'm going to try now.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, it's fun.
Have you ever played the donut game? You get those really sugary donuts, and you're not allowed to lick your lips at all. So you have a whole donut, but not once while you're eating the donut are you allowed to lick your lips. It's surprisingly really, really difficult to do because the sugar gets on your lips. One bite, and it's all around there. And your immediate reaction is just to go, I get it off. Yeah.
Oh. Well,
have you ever tried that?
I see a future contest coming up.
Okay. We can do that.
I'm all about eating the donuts, so that's
that's a great excuse. Yeah.
It's for the show. It's for a contest.
Yeah. It's for a good
It's not
cause.
actually because I want to eat these. No, I would not
No.
normally eat 6 donuts in a row. I totally would.
Tony, the mini donuts, right? You're not talking about full-size donuts.
Okay,
yes.
Sure. If that makes you feel better.
No,
I was talking about the full-size donuts.
We literally went to a place that sells donuts because I went to the dentist, and the expense of that experience made me sad. So I went, let's go get some donuts right after, having your teeth checked, and then saying, you're going to go to the orthodontist, not the orthodontist, the people that clean your teeth, like a hygienist. And they're like, oh, you're going to get drilled on your teeth, like all over. And we're like, great, thank you. And then we're like, let's get donuts. So that's the really good option. Well done.
Oh, there's this place in Portland, Oregon, where I think they've expanded now, but we went up there. It's called Voodoo Donuts, and they have just all kinds of great donuts and stuff. But they had one, and I never partook in the challenge, but they have a glazed donut where, I mean, it's like the size, it's bigger than your head. Oh. Like it's probably like 12 inches in diameter, maybe a little bit bigger than that.
Challenge accepted.
And it's, yeah, totally. And it's like about this thick. I mean, it's a donut. And I think it's free if you eat it like under a minute or something. And
you can't enjoy it. I don't know.
Yeah, but then you can get other ones. I mean, they had all kinds. Like that's the first time that I ever enjoyed a maple bacon donut. So you have this maple bar with this thick slab of bacon across the top.
What?
And the first time I heard it, I'm like, I don't think that's going to be good. That is life-changing right there.
That is heart attack changing right there.
Dude, it was, oh my gosh. It was, and like in Portland, they have 2. One in Portland proper, and then one, I think it's at Burnside across the river. And the original one, like the line is out the door and just down the street at any point during the day. So we went across the river and still had like 12 people in line.
Wow.
It was, but it's so worth it. So good. Such good donut. Anyway, okay, I'm really hungry now.
Okay, question for our audience listening. What is your favorite donut flavor to have, or size or type? And what is your favorite Pringle flavor? Let us know in the comments below, and why. Give us the reason why. There must be a reason why you love that particular flavor. Extra bonus points for the most outlandish donut or Pringle flavor. Right, should we jump into the best thing we watched?
I think so.
10 minutes in, and we haven't started talking about that yet.
Well, come on, we have to warm up a little bit.
Okay.
Gets everybody in the mood, hopefully, or maybe you've just skipped and, hey, welcome, look. This is
in the time codes. You have no idea what we're talking about. Okay, let's do this.
Oh, goodness. Okay. You want to go first?
Yeah, actually, I want to talk about Excuse me, sorry for coughing straight into the mic. I want to talk about a film that people of a certain culture, a certain demographic, have been asking us to review for probably months now. On almost every review, there'll be at least one comment. If it's a popular review, at least 6 or 7 different people saying, watch this movie. And I think they ground us down because we spoke about it last week. We both ummed and ahed about whether we'd watch it. I actually watched this in a couple of parts because it's long. It's over 3 hours. And once I started it, I was like, dang, okay, I need to go to bed. It's late. I carry on watching tomorrow. But it played in my mind, and I went back and I finished watching it. Of course, I'm talking about the epic extravaganza that is RRR, or also known as Rise... What?
Roar. Rise, Roar,
Revolt. Yeah. I loved this film. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was excellent. And I didn't mind the musical numbers. There was like 3 or 4. I thought there was one musical number in it that really worked well to further the story because they were telling a story in the words. Yes. I didn't mind reading the subtitled, although I've since been corrected that the versions that we are watching on Netflix is not the original ones that they watched in IMAX in India, because I think that's, I'm not even going to try and pronounce, but there's a number of the film, like a Tengu, it was originally in that language, and then we get it in a different one. So the subtitles for what language we are listening to it might be slightly different. Okay, so there's a whole thing that might be slightly different, but I think we get the majority of the story. It's a 3-hour-long epic, and you don't get the titles to the film until it's 45 minutes in. That's the sort of epic. Well, I know you watched this, Chris, and you reviewed it. What did you think of this film?
I was blown away. I mean, it had been on my radar, when everybody first started, like, you need to watch this. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Yeah, and exactly. Yeah. And I was not able to see it in the theater near me because it was playing at very weird and random times. And, so I just never, and then it disappeared.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so, yeah, checked it out. But I have not watched a lot of Indian cinema. I have watched some, and I've enjoyed, for the most part, what I've seen, because it's always exposing me to a different worldview and just a different cultural standpoint, and a different approach to movie making and cinema. And so that I always appreciate whenever I'm watching anything, you know what I mean? This movie, though, the action sequences are so well choreographed. The first time that we meet Ram, where he's outside of or he's inside the barricade that is just surrounded by people, and he locks eyes with this dude, and he's like, I'm going to get you because the commander said to do that, and just
he says, arrest that man, and he goes, all right, there's a whole army, there's a sea of people, and he's just like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah. Now you have to throw some believability out the window.
Oh, not
throughout this movie.
All.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yes. Because there are definite moments in this where you have like Ram going through a sea of people through and not just 10 yards out. I mean, he is, I don't know, half a mile away by the end.
He sees the guy coming for him, and he keeps backing off, and you're like, how he's going to get to it? Because at one point there's just a mountain of people on him, and you see it so cleverly filmed. You see inside the mountain of people, and he's like, I'm kicking that guy's neck, and that guy's neck just went, and that guy's arm just went. I mean, they're pretty brutal what they're showing. And then somehow he kicks that guy, and that guy goes flying 2 meters, and then he's up again, and he's running, and you're like, what on earth am I watching?
Oh my gosh, yeah. But even when they so the action is it's crazy. It's off the charts. It's so entertaining and so engaging. And I think you mentioned it in your review. I had noticed it also, is just like the wire work.
Yeah.
Cool. Where it felt, there was definitely like a kung fu type of feeling to it, which there is no problem with that at all. Like, that's not a complaint. I was like, oh, that's super fun.
Yeah, no, I love the way they do that. And the way they incorporate with slow-mo, because let's be honest, there's 60 to 70% of this movie is slow-mo, without a doubt. The hero shots, the poster shots, the slow-mo punching, slow-mo kicking, slow-mo wire work. It's all there. Even the soundtrack or the dance numbers are like slow-mo. So it's like there's this epic, I think 3/4 of the way through the film, there's this epic moment where the guy jumps out amongst with animals. And I'm not saying like why or that's happening, but and that's all slow-mo. It's one of the most epic, ridiculous shots I've ever seen. Like, I've never seen that on cinema before. I'm trying to think. I've seen Avatar, Pandora, George of the Jungle. My brain is like going through the catalogs. Have I actually ever seen something like this before? I don't think so. Like, that's different.
But see, you got to paint the picture though too, because there's like fire going on all throughout in the background, and there has already been this epic hand-to-hand battle.
I mean, like when you suspend disbelief, like if you know how heavy a motorbike is, and at one point the guy just goes, like Hulk smash, he's just throwing it. You're just like, okay, cool. You're a superhero now. I got it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, and even like, okay, so the singing numbers they definitely convey a portion of the story. The words have meaning to them. They're not just there as just soundtrack. But then there's that epic, which we're probably using epic like too much, but it was just, I don't even know how that dance off.
Yes, that was so good. I love that.
It was, the emotion, the energy that came from that, not only was it just cool dancing, and the music that's going along with it and the words that they're singing as they go along, but the intensity that is building through this thing. And then you have more people joining into it. And it's like, at one point, I think my wife was like, this is a little bit like West Side Story. And I'm like, yeah, a little bit. I can, but this is more entertaining. I like this better than I did West Side Story.
I do have one major negativity, and I don't know that it's to the filmmakers. It's just, excuse me, so many of films of that nature that have British people in them, they seem to be stuck in the 1800s, like they were, like they literally speak like they're in Victorian times or earlier. It's stunted dialogue, and you don't need subtitles because you'll have this terrible British accent. So you'll have people acting like they're British. So, and I think most of them weren't. So then they're putting on an accent, and the British accent can be pretty hard to do. And then with that dialogue, I was just like, every time they spoke, I was just like, I didn't like the British there anyway, because much like the history of many countries, we've done so many things in the name of country or God. God wills it. Let's decimate this entire, let's take over these people's country. They definitely wanted us because they're savages. And you're just like, what? How? What is wrong with you? So and it was like, am I happy to be on my British passport now while watching this movie? Not really, no.
Well, there was a scene in there that was very impactful for me. Like, I actually paused it for a second so I could look, because there's one where it's in the British government within India there, that they have that little garrison or whatever, and they're talking about arresting this one guy, which they have no idea who he is. They have no idea what his crimes are, because there aren't any. Because really, you're the one that almost killed the girl's mom and stole the daughter, and you've brought the wrath on yourself. But anyway, there's a map behind of the world, and you see like the British flag covering all of the territories of the empire, and like, I didn't realize. Now, I don't know exactly how accurate that was, but it was like, I was shocked.
No, it's pretty accurate. Yeah. I mean, if you think about England or the UK, just tiny. It's a tiny little island. Yeah. To talk about having small man syndrome. We small, but we're going to take on everything. Why did we do that? What was the purpose?
Well, and you can't control that either. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you're so far away, but I was just blown away. And so, part of this, and I'm sure within the Indian culture, it's a much stronger message
for sure
of the, the rising up against the imperialism.
No, I get it.
And absolutely. No,
They even have a message at the beginning. This is, please don't be offended if you're watching this. This is all fiction. This is not based on fact. But the history, and so the reason why they had that theme in there is because it touches on themes that's real. Yeah. One of the themes, which I think carries the movie, is the two best friends that form. They are best friends, and there's a good half an hour just them being best friends. The movie just forgets any other arc, really. They occasionally they go and do what they're meant to be doing, but a lot of them, like where you're talking about the dance off, just getting used to each other, like buying clothes, helping him get a date, helping him learn to dance, or anything like that, like being a best friend. And so when the film gets to the place where it needs to, and if it's introduced both of our main best friend characters, as one is fire, one is water, and then you get the ultimate face-off, and you don't... I think at one point you don't realize what the history is or why the reason is the one dude has to go through the army, why he is there, and you're thinking, but why are you even doing that? He's your best friend. How it's so well played off so that you get to that moments with the ridiculous slow-mo fighting, which is so much fun to watch. So any issues that the film has, you are like, but I'm behind them. I'm rooting for them.
I was blown away by the amount of character development that we get, and and that relationship development, because even though like I didn't know Rom's backstory, I didn't know why, you know what I mean? Like we see him as one character, we see him as a very devoted soldier,
military man,
cop or whatever. Yeah. There's so much more to him and so much more in that arc, but like, so I didn't expect that part of it, but you expect once they become friends, there's a predictability to some of that, that at some point there's going to be some sort of conflict that has to arise within the story. Yeah. But it's earned. Like it's so, like you feel it. And so when the emotion comes and when these moments of conflict happen, like it's genuinely like, even though I knew this was coming, I'm not sure I'm prepared for it, and I don't want this to happen. Like I don't want this conflict here because it's uncomfortable, because it's messing with everything that has been set up before.
Yeah, because we're more than halfway through the film, and there's like a torture scene with a character, and then it does this flashback, and you think, oh, it's going to be a quick flashback, and it's like 25 minutes, almost half an hour long, where it just goes, and this is why this character is like this, and it builds up and it builds up, and it's dark, and you're like, oh, I get it now. I mean, I really get it now. Like any bad feelings you had towards a certain character, you're like, oh no, he really is the good guy.
Yeah.
So good.
It really is. Like if you have not seen RRR yet, it's on Netflix. I believe it's worldwide. Now I do know that when I watched it last week, it was only available in in Hindi, within a ton of subtitle options. But I do believe, of what I've seen on Netflix, that they release several different versions when they have them, or when they have the dubbed or whatever. So there will be more if you speak that language and don't want to watch the dubbed version, which I totally get. That makes sense. For me, though, because I didn't speak the language, I didn't necessarily know that it was being dubbed. Like, I don't know because I wasn't focused on their mouths as much because I'm reading so much of the subtitle.
Yeah.
And it was close. So that was the other thing. Like, it was still a close speaking for the most part. I mean, there were times where I noticed that some of it felt a little off, even with the British people. Yeah. They felt sometimes a little, like the audio was a little off.
Yeah. In the UK at the moment, the audio is Hindi, and then the subtitles are English, Arabic, French,
Arabic,
Brazilian, Portuguese, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, and Hindi CC. So yeah, I think maybe a little bit more time we'll get more.
Yeah, because I think there's a and forgive me if I mispronounce this, but Telugu or Telugu.
Telugu.
And then there's Tamil.
Yeah.
And Malaya.
Yeah, who knows?
It's Mayalam, I think. Malayalam. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing. I don't mean to do that on purpose. It's if I saw it in front of me, I might be able to pronounce it better. But yeah, I think that they're coming out with more languages, or doing it in the dubs or whatever the original language is, however that is. But I think, yeah, they'll be doing them as quickly as they can, especially as it gains even more and more popularity
I agree.
on the platform.
Yeah. Cool. So what's next on your list, Chris?
This one's an old one. I had never seen it,
Okay.
but I needed something that was just different. It's a horror movie from, I think, 2015 called It Follows.
Okay.
Have you seen this one?
I know of it. I haven't seen it. No.
Okay. So the premise is a demon, some ill spirit, whatever, bad things happen, follows people who have sex. So it's passed from one person to the next. So I don't know if this is like a social commentary on either morality or STDs or something like that. But it's what happens is we meet these couples, this one couple, and guy has sex with his girlfriend, and then all of a sudden he's tied her down so that she could see this evil spirit that's coming. Now, the evil spirit can take the form of anything. So any type of person. It does it, so you never know exactly what it's going to be.
Oh, that's quite freaky.
Yeah, it's they're not stupid, but they're not fast either. They're slow moving. So they just it's that slow, deliberate walk at you.
All right.
You know what I mean? Which is terrifying when you see it, especially if you become trapped or something like that. But it's basically, if you don't get yourself into a room with only one exit, then you're pretty much okay. The only way to pass along this curse is to have sex with somebody else. And then it goes to that person. But the thing is, if that person that you've passed it along to gets killed by that evil spirit, now the evil spirit is coming back after you again.
Yeah. So
there are some horrifying moments in there. I mean, they do some things with some bodies that's like, just like, ow, that doesn't look like that felt good. But it's more like I appreciated a lot of the cinematography within there.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll put a camera like on a gimbal type of thing on a person.
Yeah.
And so as they turn, they're always center of focus, but everything around them, you get to see the background. So if they're backing up, you only get to see their face and their reaction of the thing that they're backing up from. But as they turn around, the camera's still facing them, but now you can see behind them from the thing that they're running from. And I appreciated different things like that. Or we'll have like the opening shot is a camera that's basically in the middle of a street. And so it watches somebody come out of the house, and then it just pans as it follows. And this person, and it goes basically like a 360 on the street, but it's done, one shot, slow, deliberate. It was really well done. So the premise itself is creepy.
Yeah, no. It does sound creepy.
Yeah. There's one moment in there where like I don't think that they explained it enough, or that they didn't follow through with this part of it. But like when I see this scene towards the end, it made me think, oh, well, if you did this, then because of that, it would, I'm sorry, I'm being very vague because it just, I don't want it to spoil even just through the line of thinking, but there is a rather uncomplicated way of getting yourself out of trouble once you're in it. I mean, sure, maybe it's an argument for abstinence, and so that's what the whole, the whole cautionary tale is like, if you have sex, you will die. I don't know. But it was enjoyable for a one-time watch. I'm not sure I would go back to it necessarily. It didn't disturb me. It didn't stick with me in a way like I was like, ooh, Now there are shots where you're like, ooh, that was disturbing. You know, they'll pull out from something and you'll see a figure standing someplace, or you'll see a shadow, or, you know, they play with different things like that. Oh, the other thing is nobody else can see.
Oh, that's the worst.
Demon.
Yeah.
So like you'll be there, you know, and like freaking out, and your friends only see you freaking out. But the way that they do some of the special effects within that, that was kind of fun. It was impressive. So it was a good, I mean, it's on Netflix in the US.
It's on
right now.
Prime in the UK.
Okay. So it's definitely worth a watch. You know, if you're looking for something just a little different, maybe you want a horror that's not,
because you mentioned the cinematography and the look of it. The cinematographer is Mike Giolakis, and he did Glass, Old, Us, and Servant. Okay. So if you know the look of it, he knows how to do aesthetically pleasing, creepy shots, especially on Servant. That was incredible work. So it makes me kind of excited just to watch it for that.
Well, and now, like, saying that, like, I can see some similarities in Servant, like in some of the shot choices and stuff like that. So that's cool. Now that's fun. Yeah. So it's, from a visual standpoint, it was great. I mean, it's a good movie. It's not, I mean, it made my list. So it's, you know, something that I really enjoyed. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, maybe check it out.
Nice. I'm going old school as well. Last couple of weeks ago, when I went to see Top Gun Maverick at the press screening, I had like about 40 minutes to kill before I caught my train in town. So I went into this like it's like a second-hand Blu-ray entertainment shop. You can buy games and stuff, and I just browsed there for a bit. I was looking for Top Gun because I don't own it on physical media. I couldn't find it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to look for another 80s film. So I found one and picked it up. I only got around to watching it yesterday. And I was like, man, I remembered this film very differently to what I thought happened, but it still has a really nice nostalgic presence to it. It was released in 1985, and it's about a bunch of old people. Can you guess what it is, Chris?
Is this Cocoon?
Yes, it is, yeah. Cocoon, directed by Ron Howard. Gosh. I mean, this film is old. 1985, I didn't realize how old. I got a nice little tin edition, which is cool. So for those that haven't seen it, it's when a group of trespassing seniors swim in a pool containing alien cocoons, they find themselves energized with youthful vigor. And a little bit of trivia for you. The kid that is in this film is the same actor who plays Bastian in The Never-Ending Story. So you'll recognize them, and then you'll have like depressing thoughts of, Artex, you're sinking! But I was surprised at how fun and heartwarming Cocoon is. I was like, oh yeah, this is what this film is about. It's about a bunch of old people that are dying, basically. They're at their old age home. A lot of them have like certain sicknesses. They have memory loss. But if you look at the actors who are listed in there, you're like, I know him, I know her, I know her. And they're just like golden oldies. You have Steve Guttenberg, who plays Jack Boner. He is this captain of this boat. They hire his boat out. It's people to go and get the cocoons, all these things on the bottom of the shell. He doesn't know what they are. And they're putting them in the pool because they've come to collect them. They're this alien species and take them home. And there's this whole thing. I mean, essentially, it's a silly film because they go to collect the cocoons, they put them in the pool, and then they go and take the cocoons from the pool and try and put them back in the ocean. And it's ridiculous. And a bunch of old people. But it's the story about the old people finding joy and out of life again, and what that means. What do you do when you're 70, 80 years old? You suddenly find yourself revitalized. You do all the things you did when you were younger. So not all of that is good. One of the characters displays a certain nature to how he was, even when he was like younger, married, and the one wife is not putting up with that. The others like want to dance the night away. The others get like the perfect bowling score ever. You know, they're just great at everything. And the first time they come, I think I laughed so long for so, I don't know why it tickled me so funny, but these old guys, they're 83 of them. They haven't been very sexually active because they just struggled to, even their manhood doesn't do that anymore. But they get out of the pool and they're like both giggling because all three of them have boners. And I was just like, it's hilarious. They're like, what do we do with this now? I don't know. And it was such a funny thing to have in there and real. And I think that's what I really liked about it. It's just really real characters. It felt like real world moments that you got to see what would happen if you got revitalized by some alien juju. Have you seen Cocoon?
I have. It's been forever since I've seen it, but the cast is stacked. I mean, I remembered, like in my head, I remembered Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy, but then I looked it up and you've got Don Amici, Wilford Brimley, Brian Dennehy, Jack Gilford. I mean, Maureen Stapleton.
It's so good.
I'm going to have to go and rewatch this because I remember like the fun feeling of it, just the enjoyment that came from it. You know, I don't even remember whether or not it was a great movie or not, but other than just this made me happy. Like it had a happy feeling to it. And you see these people like, you know, it's cute there. I think if I'm remembering correctly, there's a little bit of a sadness.
Yeah, there is
within there also. I mean, you're following older people, but it's also like just them like you said, reinvigorating within life.
Yeah.
You know, and capturing that spark again.
It's also Ron Howard. I mean, he's a genius director. He really knows how to capture people in amongst a big epic thing. Like that's how I see Ron Howard. If you think about like big epic ship, but it's all about character. He does that so well. So, I definitely recommend it. I'm going to hunt down The Return because I don't think I've ever seen Cocoon The Return. I want to see if it's any good. Oh. Don't go in thinking it's the best film ever because it isn't. It's dated. Some of the special effects, you know, from 1985, you're going to be like, whoa. you got away with it then, but now you're just like, But there are some choices that they made that you could totally see why they did it. They used the budget that they had and got away with it. It's a very simple film, but really fun. You're looking for an 80s film that you haven't seen recently. You want to feel nostalgic. This is definitely a good one to put onto your list. Nice.
Outstanding. That's good. I'll have to rewatch that. All right. Mine, my next one, this came to Amazon Prime in the US. It was at Sundance. And I had to make some choices when I was at Sundance or watching Sundance from home. And, you know, with all of my purchases that I made to watch the movies, and this one just didn't make it. But, excuse me, it's called Emergency. And I briefly touched on it last week in our podcast section. And this is a comedy that is very heavy with social commentary, which I don't count that as a negative at all. I mean, it's very funny, but it's also very pointed.
It's preachy.
And it's, I think you could take it as preachy if it's affecting you.
Right.
For me, I didn't see it as preachy. I found it as like, wow, that's impactful. That's horrifying. That's very sad. And it's too bad that that's real.
Yeah.
You know, but I never felt like it coming down on, you know what I mean? I thought I was just pointing out some realities. So you have, basically the premise is these two black college students are getting ready to go to this party tour. Basically this one night on their campus where like there's a handful of parties and they're all wildly different. And so they want to make the party circuit. And so it's kind of like The World's End with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, where they're going to hit all of the bars or the pubs in one night. You know what I mean? There's kind of a similar premise there. Well, they get home to change and there is a white girl passed out in their living room.
Oh yeah. I think I've seen the trailer for this. Yeah.
Yeah. Now they know the right thing to do. these guys are totally innocent. These are nice guys.
Except they're black,
there's
right?
Nothing.
They're African American.
Yes. These are two black guys who have a white girl passed out.
Yeah.
Well, and that becomes the conflict there of like, we know we should call the ambulance or the police,
but there's
no
shot.
way in the world. Yeah. Bad things are going to happen. And so it's all like, okay, how do we get this girl back to a place where we don't get in trouble? She's safe. We'll take her to a party, or we'll take her over to this area, something like that. And so it becomes the comedy of errors of them trying to transport her there, all the things that they go through, ups and downs. There's obviously complications that get built into there. It is very, very funny in a lot of it.
Okay.
Especially towards, for the first maybe 2 acts. Then it takes a very sharp turn into drama and social commentary.
Interesting.
Like, now there's social commentary that's been there, but it is so much more pointed at this point.
Yeah.
Where it is, I mean, the comedy stops and you're like, oh, whoa, that is a tonal shift. It makes sense. It's necessary. It's important. And it works. But I think really what the thing that's going to turn people off is that absolute shift. You know what I mean? Like you go. And then, because it's like, oh, I'm laughing along with this. This is funny. You have the comedy of errors and there are terrible decisions that our characters make. Like you look at them and you go, no, don't do that. Don't do that. We know, come on. You're smarter than this, and then conveniences within the plot that then help them either get out of that or help move the story along. So there are issues within the story. It's not perfect.
Excuse me.
But bless you.
Oh my gosh.
Bless you. But when we get to the crux of it and towards the end, after the climax has happened and we're going towards like the conclusion of the film, there's some really powerful storytelling that happens that I think some people are going to be turned off on because they're seeing it from one point of view and not from the other.
Okay.
And it's like at first you're like, well, that's kind of rude. But then you examine and you're like, well, what was this person saying or doing? Was it heartfelt? Was it genuine? Or was it kind of rote? And was it just kind of, well, this is what I'm expected to do, and so I'm going to do it, and it's not really heartfelt or genuine. And even the last, I think it's the parting shot, it'll hit you in the gut a little bit. Like it's because you see this character transformation from what was to the ramifications of this heightened experience, and then how it changed them, and not necessarily for the better. And so it's well worth the time to watch. It's under 2 hours. It moves by really quickly. The comedy is subtle in different points. Sometimes it's really funny. Sometimes it's very obvious. Sometimes it's very forced. But taken as a whole, it's like, ooh, that was kind of powerful. So,
do you think people will be able to get past the part where it feels like it preachy? Because we do live in a day and age where people they switch off very quickly because it's preaching at you, and I don't want to be preached at. I just want a good film because it sounds like it's worth it.
I think, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people are not gonna. They're gonna be like, nope, I'm not doing this. I don't want a social commentary. I don't want to be confronted with this, or you know what I mean? I just want some entertainment. I don't need a message within there, which I could argue that, you know what, pretty much any movie has a message within there. You're just not diving deep enough into it to figure it out. But I think it's going to harm the film, like the people seeing it. Like, I think the people that really should see it aren't going to see it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay. moving on. I know a lot of people probably expect us to talk about Stranger Things. I don't think I want to. There's 7 episodes that is aired now. They're almost all over an hour long. The last episode 7, is basically a film. It's an hour and a half. I think the last episode is the best episode. I think it's suffers from a few issues this season because there are 5 storylines that it's kind of following. It took me about 3 episodes to get emotionally engaged with the characters again. I still have my favorite character, who is Steve. I think Steve has come such a long way from being the jock at the beginning to actually being some of the best partnership with Dustin.
Oh my gosh.
Who is my favorite. We do get to spend quite a bit of time in the Upside Down, which I really appreciate. This is the season where they explain a lot, and when you get to spend time in the Upside Down, it's very cool. The sets are great. I think it'll be better for us to talk about Stranger Things in its whole when we've watched the last 2 episodes in July, because it does leave it on a cliffhanger again, and I don't think we can guess, but we won't have an actual understanding of what they're going to do with season 5, which will be the last season. So you're happy to talk about it then, Chris?
Totally. Yeah. One comment though is this is much darker and much more horror.
Yeah, it's all horror
than the other seasons have been.
For sure.
It is like there is Nightmare on Elm Street horror in this. There is Hellraiser horror in this.
I mean, talk about Nightmare on Elm Street. There's such a Nightmare on Elm Street moment in this. I was just like, that is cool.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, now I've only seen the first 3 episodes so far. So I still have quite a bit to get through of this first volume. But yeah, no, I'm totally good to. I think we'll really revisit it and dive into it more once the second part comes out.
Yeah, but I wasn't expecting the body horror. You know, the contorted mess.
Dude, no, that was I think, and there has been horror in the other 2-3 seasons, but I think they've been fairly family friendly.
Yeah, that's been fantasy. It's fantasy scary, and then the second one built on that, and the third one was monster horror. And then this one is body horror, but for adults. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely, I mean, the whole show has matured in its presentation. So
have the actors. I guess this is part of everybody's growing up sort of thing. It's real world now. Get ready to die, because we're wrapping up the series. So who's going to survive? No one. Best way not to do spoilers. Everybody dies.
There you go. Everybody dies.
You probably also expect me to talk about Obi-Wan. I'm not gonna, because I had issues with it. So I was like, okay. I've been waiting so many years for this series, Chris, and honestly, there were moments I loved, but there were so many things. This is like, you're breaking canon law. You're like, this doesn't make sense. How do they even do that? Why is Leia outrunning bandits when they're right next to her? Like, just so many things. It's just seriously.
It is funny how, like, I was scrolling through Twitter yesterday, and there is not really a lukewarm response to Obi-Wan. It is either you have really enjoyed it, or you have been like, I'm not into this right now at all. You know, it hasn't been, there hasn't been much middle of the road. Now, I'm in the one where I enjoyed it a lot.
Cool.
I did, yeah. And that's okay. I mean, whatever. I'm not as close to all of the material as maybe other people are, like, I appreciated just the story and stuff. So, but I can get how, I mean, there are issues within there.
I mean, there are definitely moments that I loved, but there were things I wanted to see, and I just feel like they're padding. I just like, we've got 6 episodes. It's a contained story. We're not getting more than this. It leads up to a point, and I want to know about Obi-Wan. Like, this is not an Inquisitor series. I would love to see an Inquisitor series, but why are we spending so much time on Leia? Why did we have to spend so much time getting Obi-Wan to meet the Inquisitors if that was the story you were going to go for? Because ultimately, it comes down to the dialogue between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan and their whole history. I want to hear that dialogue, and then I want to see them fight. That's what we're going to lead up to.
I was shocked that there was no lightsaber fight in
2 episodes.
In the first
so
2
we
episodes,
literally only have 4 episodes left.
I'm curious if they're saving Obi-Wan's lightsaber duel anytime, or him breaking it out for Darth Vader.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like if they're gonna, like you save that moment because it's going to be so like for that. I don't know.
It's possible, but I also just don't buy that he's that weak. I know he spent like 10 years in a desert, but where we left him, he was so powerful. He had the skill of Yoda and the power of Mace Windu, and he was the guy that took down Anakin, who was the one. And now he's either blocked himself off from the Force, or he's so in trauma because of what he did or didn't see, or what Anakin did, that he no longer can function as a Jedi, because it was so hard for him to do that one Force thing, which was tiny, tiny little person. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I could see that. I mean, I could see, because he's put all of that away, partially for protection, not only of himself, but of Luke and Leia.
For Luke, because he's lying low. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I could see, because they would be able to sense the Force, if you're, so, I mean, I can see like him being, like it becoming diminished in some capacity for him, because he's not been reliant on it at all. He's not.
It's not like riding a bike. He's got to ride a tricycle first.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But you see, like Luke, through Empire, I mean, he has to learn how to use it. You know what I mean? And it's not. And we know that Yoda is like continuously communing with the Force. And so because of that, he's always like in it.
Yeah, but even in the recap at the beginning of this episode, which was great. I really liked the recap. I thought it's a nice way to put it. But there's that line from Yoda where he says, "I've got something to teach you from your master." And it seems like he hasn't been taught, because he was trying to talk to his master and there was no voice there.
We'll see that. But that's how I took it, that maybe he didn't do that. Maybe he didn't follow that. Even though Yoda was like, I want you to do this, he didn't, through either depression or, out of protection or whatever that is. I mean, who knows, just being in hiding and, I don't know. I mean, I can see how
okay. So those are all my negatives, but let's talk about the things that really worked, so that people don't think that I absolutely hated. I love Obi-Wan. He's my favorite character, which is why I was so into it. I'm like, but I want this from it. I want this one. The Inquisitor moments, when the Inquisitor's running across the rooftop that's chasing him, I feel is absolutely one of the Padawans that escaped at the beginning. I think that's why they showed us that. Definitely one of so she's grown up with a definitely, I hate you, this is partly your fault, why didn't you keep your trainee, if you had known what your trainee was doing, none of this would have happened, sort of thing. I now hold a deep grudge to you, I'm going to take you out, sort of thing. And she's running across the rooftops, and she's using Force along the way, like she spun around that pole. Like, that was so great to see, almost like parkour with the Force in conjunction, and straight away that she's super, super strong, super powerful, and if she were to fight Obi-Wan now, I'm not sure Obi-Wan would win. Like, I think he might die.
Yeah.
Problem is, she killed the Grand Inquisitor, but the Grand Inquisitor shouldn't be dead, because he's also in the Clone Wars. So maybe he gets put into a Bacta tank, and he's not actually dead.
But see, can there be more than one Grand Inquisitor?
It's the same Grand Inquisitor. Yeah, so that the facial things, they look like the same character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every time I was like, that's cool, but why? Maybe I just need to put it all aside, and it doesn't matter. It's just enjoy for what it is.
Maybe, see, because I haven't watched all of the
Clone Wars or the Rebels,
all the Clone Wars and all that.
Yeah.
I've seen little bits here and there.
It's funny because I'd be like, I'm not a real fan of Star Wars, and then be like, wait a minute, I think I've seen everything. Does that make me a fan? Probably.
Yeah, it makes you very knowledgeable at least. See, me, like mine, because I would be called like a fake fan.
Right.
Even though I'm not a fake fan. I enjoy the movies.
Oh, somebody called me out because I really like the prequels. And they're like, oh, you're one of those people that like the prequels and Jar Jar Binks. Like, I find Jar Jar hilarious. He doesn't irritate me like it seems like everybody else. I always quote him. Are you like, yes, Jar Jar, you said the blue bomb? And he goes, how does he go? Me said the blue bomb. It cracks me up. Like, the way he talks is hilarious. And the fact that everybody says there's like deep lore that he could be a Sith Lord, and if you look along the way, the reason like how he survived, why he survived, what he's doing in between, maybe he is the ultimate master and he's been the one controlling everything. I love
pulling all the strings.
It's not, but it's amazing to think that that'd be really cool.
I loved, like, I'm not a fan of the Phantom Menace. Me and my boys actually were talking about this yesterday. I'm not too much. 2 and 3 though, I love those. I mean, those are wow. Like, especially now as I go back to them each time, like I'm like, wow, I really enjoy this one, and I enjoy it more and more each time, and just the developments within there. So
how can you not like the Phantom Menace? It's got Duel of Fates. It's got that epic Qui-Gon battle with Obi-Wan.
I'm not saying that there's not great points in there. I just, as a whole, I didn't enjoy it. Like, okay,
there's always a bigger fish.
Take what's it called? The
aggressive negotiations.
8 episode not 8. Yeah, 8.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of things within that movie that I don't like, but there are some really cool parts in it too that I really enjoy. So it's not,
The Lost Jedi.
Yes.
Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah. There's portions of it that I think are really good. But on the whole, that's not a movie that I really like to revisit.
Can't be a real fan then. Yeah. Star Wars fans never complain about anything, Chris. We love everything, and we're generally nice to everybody.
Gauntlet has been thrown right there.
Yeah.
The truth and lies within that one statement.
What
there.
Lies? Yeah, anyway, there were moments I really liked. I'm probably going to enjoy watching it again. Like, once my expectation has been sorted out and my ideas of like, okay, so it's not this, but it is this. Like, there are certain series, like The Mandalorian, I loved the first time, loved it even more the second time, because there were things I never saw.
Sure.
They put so much time and effort. I love the look of Obi-Wan. I think it looks amazing. And especially that new stage that they work on. They get so much more freedom.
Oh, yeah.
It's not green screen anymore. It's just actually there on a curved screen, which is incrable.
So immersive.
Yeah.
Oh. So these were not the best things that you watched.
Wow. I was actually going to talk about Ricky Gervais's new comedy. It's his first special in 7 years, and Ricky Gervais slings his trademark snark at celebrity, mortality, and society. What I like about Ricky Gervais is that he insults everyone and everything. Nothing is off the table. So I think that way it makes it fair. He also takes time to explain that he is actually making a joke. So when he's making jokes at transgender or transphobic, or people that are gay or lesbian, or he'll go for the politics side of things, or he'll make a Donald Trump joke, and like, that's not me saying it, that's the comedian saying it. Like, I don't actually believe these things, and he's trying to really help people understand what comedy is. And it's such a weird world we live in now, where people have to be explained that this is comedy, because we live in a world now where you can say a joke and somebody will get up and physically assault you.
True.
We had the Oscars, and we also had there was another stand-up.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, it's just happening. It was like people are way too offended. You go to a comedy session, it's going to tell jokes that you're probably going to find offensive, and some that you'll laugh at, and some that you know that are offensive, but it's okay to laugh at, which is why the comedian is saying it. A true test of the formula is whether Kirsten can watch it and laugh and not be offended. And she laughed the whole way through. And she was also going, oh, he didn't just say that. Literally, her words, I can't believe he just said that. Because he says stuff that is so out there, so wow. Like if you uttered that in the streets, you would be stoned. But because it's Ricky Gervais saying it in a closed space, I also like it that it's just what he says is truthful. But it's funny because it's human. So he says things that we probably all thought, but we in this, especially in today's society, you probably can't say without being stoned yourself. And he says it and gets away with it mostly, I think. I did laugh a lot of the time. Half of my laughing was inward breathing and gasping, I think. So if you like Ricky Gervais, it was like, what did you actually just say? It's, when he starts getting to like women, what they wear, especially if you're like Indian, and talking about like the coverings and stuff, I was just like, dude, it's that sort of reaction.
I guess if you're going to piss people off, just piss everybody off.
Exactly. Then it's fair, then at least
right? It's equal opportunity. All the way
He makes fun of
insulting.
himself as well, which I really like. He talks about being rich. He's talking about like when you get like the 1% of people that we only have like. There's still only 20% people or 5% people that are gay and 2% people that are this. And he said, and you get the 1% that are like multimillionaires, and nobody knows what we go through. I'm in the 1%. Nobody thinks about us. Where's our demographic? And it was really funny because he realizes that, of course, he's not quite in the world. He is a multi-million. He talks about going to the gym. He could go to every gym in the UK, drop $2,000, and never go to the gym just because he's that sort of silly rich. So he makes fun of himself as well. So it's great. And if you like Ricky Gervais anyway, I think you're going to find he's writing just real. His TV series is Afterlife is fantastic and so real.
Fun. And that's on Netflix.
That's on
right?
Netflix.
That was on Netflix.
Yeah, it was a Netflix original it's quite funny throughout the Netflix special. He says, don't worry, Netflix has bought this already, so they can't go back on their word. And then the joke he says, he goes, well, that's never staying in there. He says that a number of times, like the things he knows he said, or when he's laughing, he goes, I can't, this is a stupid joke. And he said, they're never going to allow that to keep in there. And the fact that they've allowed it to stay in there makes it that much more special, or like wrong. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Right on. I may have to check that one out. I'm not a huge Ricky Gervais fan.
No, I can totally understand that. Yeah.
While I can appreciate the humor, sometimes the discomfort that comes from it is just, it's too much. You know what I mean? Like it rides that line too much. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm enjoying this or not.
No, I totally get it. Yeah.
Oh, outstanding. Well, anything else on your list?
No, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we've hit a bunch of things that are on our list, and we've even covered a couple of things that we weren't going to talk about, which we promised tangents. There you go.
There it is.
But in addition to sharing your favorite donut flavor and your favorite Pringle flavor, tell us what are some of the best things that you watched this week. I've started one that I got as a recommendation last week, but I just haven't had the opportunity to finish yet. So hopefully maybe next week it will be on my list.
You can tell us what it is. Well, you're going to keep us in suspense until next week.
I'm going to keep you.
Okay.
Yep. Going to keep you in suspense because it's it may not turn out right. I don't know yet.
It starts well, but it may be crap. Okay.
It's bothering me. Yeah. The movie, it's dark I don't know. So we'll see.
Okay. Cool.
I am enjoying it though so far. So, but yeah, Please like, share, subscribe. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday, me, Chris, with Movies and Munchies. You can get the full audio version wherever you happen to listen to podcasts. And if you are listening, or if you go over to a podcast platform and you listen to us there, please rate and review us as well. We would really appreciate that. Don't forget, there is something hugely exciting coming this week to the Patreon. Yes. Promise. You can find out more about that at patreon.com/thebeardedones, because we have beards. Then it made the most sense. Mm-hmm. We thank you so much for watching, for spending the time each week. We love it. We love interacting with you, and we'll see you next week.